This plant is called Coltsfoot. It's rather unique. The flower springs up before the leaves. Normally a plant will grow from its leaves, then the stem, and then the flower. This is totally opposite. And it's one of the first flowers that will spring up within this area. And I heard where they've made cough medicines and used it for lung ailments and so on. Although I've never really worked with this plant, but I want to introduce to you Michael Douglas. He is an expert on wild edibles, and he's also the founder of the Maine Primitive Skills School. So I'm going to cut him in right here and let him talk to you about Coltsfoot.
Hi, this is Mike from the Maine Primitive Skills School. We're going to be doing a collaboration with Wayne from Kullcraven Bushcraft on Coltsfoot today.
Today we're foraging for Coltsfoot. We're specifically searching for Coltsfoot flowers. Coltsfoot flowers come up typically between April and May. So Coltsfoot is useful for many things. It's a good expectorant as well as a cough suppressant. So this morning we're searching for flowers, and these flowers are going to be processed into honey lozenges for soothing the throat. Coltsfoot flower is pretty unique in a lot of ways, but to the untrained eye it can definitely be mistaken for a dandelion flower. Alright, so our Coltsfoot flower, if you look right at the flower, it's a nice bright yellow. It's got two distinct areas of the flower. First one being it's got kind of a nice band of outer petals here, and then there's a distinct line or a band where the inner petals start, and they're a nice golden yellow. Now if you look down at the stalk here, Coltsfoot grows in a very kind of meaty, fleshy stalk with these kind of reddish bracts that grow all the way up along the length of the stalk, whereas dandelion flowers have a very smooth stalk. Also, you'll notice here on this Coltsfoot flower that there are no leaves present. And now this is, Coltsfoot is known as the son before the father because the flowers emerge and die back before the leaves come up for the season. So Coltsfoot is a member of the aster family. So something to keep in mind with with most members of the aster family is that they do contain phytochemicals that can cause contact dermatitis for people with sensitivities to that. So just keep that in mind as you're handling Coltsfoot. We like to harvest no more than 1/3, and that's 1/3 for us as humans and 1/3 for the animals and the critters, and then 1/3 for the plant and the Mother Earth itself. We want to harvest not all from the same plant or directly from the same area as well. So if I harvest maybe one here, I want to leave now another one on that plant and harvest perhaps over here, and then down along the trail. So Coltsfoot likes to grow in disturbed areas. It's a non-native species from Europe, and it grows in sandy or rocky areas along roadsides, perhaps along trail sides, in culverts we see it a lot, or like this logging tote road here. So be mindful as you harvest as to what kind of pollution there is in the area. So I would feel much more comfortable harvesting and using this plant for food and medicine as it's growing in a wooded area that doesn't see a lot of traffic. So I'm going to snip this right down at the base of the plant and give you a little bit of a better look too at the plant species that we're harvesting. So it has underneath kind of those reddish bracts you see all along the stem, as well as around the base of the flower head. And then on the flower head we've got, as I mentioned earlier, we have the outer band of petals, which are very, very long and flat, And then we have a distinct ring, and then the inner band of petals, which grow kind of in an upward fashion. So this is our Coltsfoot. Harvested Coltsfoot flowers here, and we're going to chop these up, and we're going to make them into a really strong tea. And we're going to blend some rose hips in there, and also some mullein leaf from last year's harvest. And we're going to make a really strong tea, and then we're going to candy these into lozenges. So we're going to be using honey and water and then herbs. And then we're going to pour boiling water on this. And we're using a recipe of one cup of water to 1.5 cups of honey, I believe. And we're going to then blend it together and make some candied lozenges there. I'm going to steep this for about 20 minutes in the boiling water with a lid and cozy around it. It smells lovely. So we've got 1 cup of water here that we're going to add to our herbs. We might need to add a little bit more water. But we don't want to add too much water because we don't want to dilute it. Alright, so and we're going to put a lid on our jar. And we're going to slip it into a cozy. Sit there for about 20 minutes. Boiled our decoction honey mixture down. It took quite a while longer than half an hour. I think we were a little concerned about letting it burn, so we had it a little lower. What you need to do is just keep an eye on it, stir it occasionally, and as you find that it's thickening up or creating a real foamy, bubbly stuff on top, there's a good chance you're done. But you can test this by taking a cup of cold water and putting a teaspoon of your candied mixture into the ice water, and it should harden up straight away. If not, just keep it simmering for a little longer. So what we've done is we've taken our mixture and we've now poured it into a Pyrex dish to cool. And we don't have candy molds, so we're going to be working this by hand once it's at a reasonable temperature. And then we're going to kind of, before we store it, we're going to be coating it in a light coating of an herbal powder to keep it from sticking together. We are taking our chilled lozenge mix, and it's right about at this temperature where it's kind of taffy-like, as you can see in as you can see here in the dish. It's stringy and sticky, and there's a brief moment in time where it gets just cool enough that you can work it in your hands into a ball or oval or whatever shape you want it to be. Beware, if it's too warm, it sticks to the palm of your hand like Chad and Ritz here, and I have been experiencing. But it's fun, part of the process, and I recommend that you have a few friends to help.
The leaves are the safest to use in quantity because they contain the least amount of the pyrrolizidine alkaloids. The presence of pyrrolizidine alkaloids means that while this plant is fine for an occasional tea, salad, or trailside nibble, it should not be eaten in large quantities over long periods of time. We use Coltsfoot for asthma, sore throats, and coughs.
Thanks again, Michael. It was really good to hear your information on this plant. Really appreciate you taking the effort and time to appear and give your advice on this plant. Thanks very much. That covers the Coltsfoot. It is a unique plant with lots of uses. Appreciate you watching, and thanks a lot.